It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you may be. Neither snow, nor hail, nor sleet, nor ice, nor bronchitis is going to keep me from doing my show. I know the octaves are down like 6 times. I have bronchitis, but you know what? I love doing my show, and I have 2 wonderful guests today that I am so excited about. So here we are. Hopefully no coughing fits. I'll cover the mic, but anyway, or else I'll let my guests keep talking. If you're listening live, today is Wednesday, September 2nd. Happy September. I can't believe it's already Labor Day weekend. What a fast summer. You know, a lot of the schools in Arizona have already opened. Also, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I am very excited, as I said, about my guest because the wonderful Connie Gruning from peanutbutterandwine.com will be with us the first part of the show, as she is the first Wednesday of each month. She's going to tell us what's hot and what's not in September, and then Kristin Connor, the executive director of Cure Childhood Cancer, will be with us the rest of the show. So if you have a question or just want to say hi, you can call. It's a live show today, 877-864-4869. And if you're listening to a podcast, you can always go to my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, and contact me there. You know, if you have a comment or if maybe you want to be a guest on the show. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Connie. Oh, by the way, there were no recalls this week. Yay. But check my recall list on my website, My Best Parenting Advice. I keep them up to date. So I want to welcome Connie, and I'm going to let her tell you how she started doing this, because last month I kind of botched it up, didn't I, Connie?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good, except for the coughing, but that will pass. Those little babies that don't know how to cover their mouths, what can I say?
Get used to it.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Hanging out with a
I thought 35 years ago I was used to it, but guess not. Anyway, so tell my listeners how you started, and I'm on your site looking at the bags and the shirts and the frankincense. Goodness. I should probably be drinking the bottle of frankincense, but anyway, quickly, tell my listeners about you.
I started this as I had won a chance to be a blogger for Channel 10 News, during their diet for to get healthy and stuff, which I started blogging then, and I enjoyed it, and I kept up with it. And then eventually somebody asked me if I would review a child's Halloween costume. And I was, well, okay, but I have this doll that's for Halloween, and he's the size of a 4-year-old, so he stands a little over 3 foot tall. And I said, you do know that this is a doll that I dress up, right? And they said, yeah, do it. We think this is funny, do it. And from then on, I've been reviewing products ever since. It just has snowballed into a daily something on the blog every day. So if you go to Peanut Butter and Wine, WHINE, there will be something every single day.
And it's great, and your sense of humor is terrific. I mean, it will just make you smile looking at the artwork by your kids, and it's wonderful. So what's hot in September? It's back to school.
Okay,
I can't believe it.
Oh, I know it. I have a great book. If you go down about halfway down my blog, you will see what you're looking for. It's on the right-hand side. If you search the word unplug, there is a book called How to Entertain, Distract, Unplug Your Kids Without Using Anything Electronic. It's a nice, thick book. It has tons of ideas. Most of them are geared for a little bit older. Alice is only 4, so her attention span for the project was not as long as Mr. Jarvis said that it would be. We did printing, so we painted on the back of a cookie sheet, which I hadn't never thought about
No.
painting somewhere like that. So we painted, we used our fingers, we used cars, we used whatever. And then we laid our paper down on top of it and printed. And we did every time we laid something down, it printed differently. So that was a great learning experience that, it changes. One thing I did learn, don't leave the piece of paper on there and try and do something else because you'll be scrubbing a cookie sheet there for a while. So that came out super, super cute. And I got a really cute piece of artwork. We used a canvas on one of them, and it's very pretty. It needs to be framed. It's that cute.
Well, you should put it on the site so we can see. That's a great book.
It is a great book, and he's funny. He has, family stories. He tells you in the little book, in the little box on the first part of the page of the instructions, it tells you what you'll need, how much time he thinks that it will last, and all the products you need to have. And most of it is things you have around the house. We all have cookie sheets. Everybody's got a set of paint somewhere, whether it's watercolor paint or oil paint, whatever you've got. So do that. That is fun. Alice had a great time with that one. Another one to type in the search box is sand. If you've never played with moldable sand, you are missing out. This is from Sands Alive. And you can roll it into a ball and it will stay in a ball. And then you just pick it up and you kind of mush it in your fingers and it turns back into sand. There are molds that come with it. It is so addicting to play with. And Alice will play with her Sands Alive forever. It comes with all sorts of little animals to make. We made a castle. We made a ice cream cone. And the 3 scoops stay together on the little plastic piece. So,
what about cleanup? I know parents are going to ask about cleanup.
Oh, my gosh, there is no cleanup. If it drops on the floor, just take roll a ball of Sands Alive, touch it to itself, and it's like magnet. It just picks it right back up. It doesn't stick in the carpet. It doesn't stick anywhere. If it falls, just touch it to itself and pick it up. And it never, ever dries out. It's always ready to play with. And Alice has had Sands Alive, and it's one of her very favorite things. So you will not outgrow Sands Alive.
What's the age on that? Do you know?
I think it's 3 and up.
Okay.
And I would say you could easily, because it doesn't taste good, and I know this because my son was playing with it. My son is 36. And the first thing he did, he loves to harass his mother. So the first thing he did was stick his tongue out and touch the sand. And he goes, that doesn't taste good. I thought, it's sand, you. Anyway, so don't eat the sand, but I don't believe that kids, it's non-toxic, it's non-poisonous, it's not going to hurt you.
Great.
So I think that kids, as long as you're supervising, I think you could play with this no matter what age because it's fun. If you have kids back to school and you have a daughter or a granddaughter with tangles, you need to put detangling brush in the search box and look for the Optima detangling brush. Oh my goodness. It has the little bristles that somehow magically go through the hair and take all the tangles out without any screaming. You will not have any crying. This is a miracle brush. If you have a daughter that has long hair, you need this brush. Both of my granddaughters have super curly, very coarse hair. So especially Emma. Emma's hair, this just glides through. No muss. You are going to have no more crying in the morning. This is a great brush. And the next one I have is for moms. It's the Mighty Mug. Now, if you have kids running around, the Mighty Mug has almost like a suction cup. It doesn't tip over. So you have kids running around. You're not going to worry about your coffee cup going off onto the ground and opening or anything. This Mighty Mug is so amazing. And I get to give one away. So you definitely want to enter one of those. And what else do I have in giveaways really fast? Really fast I have My $50, I'm giving away $50 for one lucky peanut butter and wine follower. The giveaways are super easy. It pops up. It tells you what you need to do. The emails don't go anywhere except for to me. Nobody else sees these. It's simple. Just click to begin, and it is all self-explanatory. One entry, I've had people win with just one entry. I've had people win that come back and visit my site every day. And I promise you there will be something there every single day. There. How is that?
Phew. There's a lot. I want everything. Especially this mug sounds great. I would love to have one of these mugs to take when I go to my little baby room.
Yes. And it stays hot. I mean, your coffee is going to stay hot for the full, not that my coffee will ever last 6 hours, but it will stay hot.
That's pretty good. Because
that's a good thing.
No coffee stays hot that long. And it's funny because I have another cup that I take to my little infant room, and I have to tell you, every morning I can't figure this out. I don't know if it's because it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's me, duh. But every morning I put my coffee in, I put the cup on, and I dump it in the sink on purpose because I'm sure I haven't put it on right, and it spills. So maybe I need one of these mugs too.
I always check mine too. I just know it's not on there right, and then it's going to leak all over my shirt. One time it leaks, and that's it. You're convinced you have to do it that way.
That's right. You have to. Well, we are gonna say goodbye to you in just a few seconds. You still have Alice every day, full time?
Every day, full time.
Yay. Oh, it's so much fun. I miss my grandbaby today.
Oh, it's so much fun. I'm having such a great time, and she's so smart. She's 4 years old, and we do a little bit of schoolwork every morning and every afternoon, and she can read little stories. She can write all the names of everyone in the family.
Wow.
And we're learning. We've got a big floor puzzle that's the United States, and we're learning the different city or states and their capitals. And I have to tell you, Benon could not figure out where a couple of these states were, so it's a good refresher all the way around.
Well, thanks, Grandma. We'll talk to you in October. Have a great month. Happy Labor Day weekend. Stay safe and have fun.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Listen, something is brewing. The beautiful business evolution is coming. The way we do business is about to change. For the better, forever. This is real business at its very best. On Beautiful Business Radio, you will learn what it means to truly prosper, how to nourish yourself and your business, how to earn what you deserve and make a difference in the world. The tide is rising, the change is here. Discover a new way to live, love, and partner with yourself and your business on Philippa Rowlands Presents Beautiful Business Radio, where you matter and your business thrives, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge. If you could live your life truly standing in a place of peace, joy, and abundance, wouldn't that make your heart soar? Now you can, with Lessons in Joyful Living, with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi, Mondays at noon Central. Kimberly Rinaldi, having created a highly successful coaching practice, now teaches Lessons in Joyful Living. She believes in empowering others and that through it, you have the ability to break through any and all barriers, thus allowing you to reach your greatest potential and joyfully step into your life's purpose. What used to take weeks, months, or even years, she can now teach you in a matter of hours with her programs. For more on Kim and her show, go to her website, KimberlyRinaldi.com. That's RINALDI.com. Then join us for Lessons in Joyful Living with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm going to welcome my next guest in just a second, but I do want to say if you have a question, call us at 877-864-4869. I know we did have a caller, and if you're out there listening, I'm so sorry we didn't get to you. Please call back. Even if Connie's not on, give us a call back. I'm happy to answer a question, and if I can't, I will direct you to the right place. So my apologies for not getting to the phone call. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about my next guest. Her name is Kristin Connor. She's the Executive Director of Cure Childhood Cancer, which is a nonprofit dedicated to conquering childhood cancer through funding targeted research and programs supporting patients and their families. She's also a mom that was impacted. Her son is 13 years old and a cancer survivor. Yay! And he was diagnosed at just 1 month old, and that must be so scary. Anyway, Kristin changed her professional life, leaving her law practice to join the fight for a cure. And under her corporate and individual donors and $500 volunteers just announced $2.5 million in grants and fellowship for 19 different research products at 6 institutions across the U.S. That is so great, and I was so surprised because it says that each year that 40,000 children are already suffering with cancer, and each year there are 16,000 new cases. And these kids, to see their faces, they are just so brave, and the parents are so brave. And, this is the most wonderful nonprofit, and we have to keep working for this cause until we find what causes it, if we ever do. But we have to find that cure. Anyway, I want to welcome Kristin Connor to the show. Kristin, good morning. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is so important, and especially with September.
Yes, good morning, Blythe. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Before we talk about your organization, talk a little bit about being a mom, because, my listeners are parents, moms, dads, grandparents of babies and toddlers, and I can't imagine when you got that diagnosis for your baby. I mean, I can't even imagine. How do you deal? And how did you know that something was wrong? These are all the questions that I've had all week that I've been getting emails. So please talk about them.
Well, I hope that, hopefully none of your listeners will ever have to deal with this. So I want to say that first off. I certainly don't want to scare anyone, but it is great to have the chance to kind of share the story, and hopefully by the end of the program, everyone will understand why this is just such an important crisis, in our country. But my son was actually he had a tumor on his spine, and they actually detected that when I was pregnant with him at 33 weeks on an ultrasound. They saw the mass, and sat us down and showed it to us and said, we don't know what this is, and it could be a number of things. And they went through the list, and the worst thing on the list was cancer. And I just thought that was impossible. It seemed absolutely impossible to me that an unborn baby could have a malignant tumor. And so I was on bed rest and had 33 weeks to do what you're not supposed to do, which is get on the internet and read all about all of the possibilities. And so he was actually officially diagnosed at a month old, and by that point, when they told us it was neuroblastoma, I knew that was the worst of all of the possibilities, and I knew what that meant. And so it's devastating. I don't think you're ever prepared to hear that kind of news.
No, I can't even imagine. And, I have to say, because I love the internet like everybody else, but sometimes it's not a great idea because the worst stories are on there. And, sometimes you don't find a lot of the success stories. And I just love your site because you have all these great pictures of the kids. And you know what? It's so positive.
Yes, I'm so glad that you said that. There are so many successes, and because of in research, really, we do have high cure rates overall for childhood cancer. It's about 80% overall, but there are still types of childhood cancer that are very, very difficult to cure. And the type of cancer my son has or had, there was only at the time about a 40% 5-year survival rate. And wow. So that's really hard. And I think childhood cancer is a hopeful story, and there's a lot to celebrate, but I can tell you that when you lose one, it just takes your breath away, and it's just so hard to focus on all the positive and the successes, because you just don't want even one to lose their life
right.
at the hands of a disease that I believe will be curable.
Oh, I sure hope you're right, because, you also see all these advances when you're talking about knowing at 33 weeks, hopefully down the road they'll be able to do something before a baby is born if they can diagnose it, because they do so many little surgeries in utero. It amazes me.
Well, in my case, the pediatric neurosurgeon actually started attending all of my ultrasounds from 33 weeks until my child was delivered, because they didn't know if they were going to need to go in utero and do surgery, or if immediately upon birth they were going to need to do surgery. So I'm so thankful that all of those medical possibilities existed then and certainly now, and I'm of course even more thankful that we didn't have to do that with him. So
no, and that's great. And he's 13 years old.
Yes, he actually turns 14 on September 13th. So it's it's just not. I think every birthday, and he's a hockey player, and he's very strong and healthy and athletic, and I watch him, and I really, even this many years later, I never stop thinking about the fact that it could have been so differently, or it could have been so different, and I see him out there and think, wow, best case scenario, they thought he probably wouldn't have strength in his legs, so it would affect his, very significant motor nerves running through his leg, and so we were so lucky, and it's through the years I've seen so many other families have different outcomes, and not just, lots of kids who have survived, but the treatments that we're using for these children in many cases are 40, 50 years old, these drugs, and it's like, I've heard doctors explain it like, it's like putting a nuclear bomb in a child's body in hopes of killing cancer cells. So and so what happens is the cancer cells die at the hands, we hope, at the hands of this very toxic chemotherapy, but we're also really harming these other cells which are growing rapidly in growing children. And so what happens is we're curing the kids, but 10, 20, 30 years later, we've got serious medical issues as a result of the treatment they received. Everything from, growth problems, endocrine problems, to very serious secondary cancers, heart failure, and everything in between. And so I'm very passionate about not just curing the kids, but curing them in a better way.
That's so important, because it is scary. You know what, when I hear about chemo and I see, the little children that lose their hair and they're smiling, and I think, my gosh, you're so brave. God forbid, could I be that brave? Because that chemo is scary, and the question is, do the doctors know what they're doing, or is it a shot in the dark that they are going to end up with these things and the cancer will go away? The whole thing to me is so frightening. But we do. It's wonderful. We have all these tools that we can do so we can heal our little ones, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think that we're at a really good place in some ways, and I'd say that because so much is known now about, from a genetic standpoint, and I think that what's happening now is that the researchers are really focusing on treatments or therapies that really target the specific genes that are causing the cancer. And if they can, shut off these pathways, and it's very complicated, science, but they know. I mean, it's just a matter of supporting the research so that it can take place, so that we can develop these therapies that are very, very targeted at genes and not just growing cells, because chemotherapy is just targeted at any rapidly dividing cells. And so I'm very excited. I've heard many experts talk about this and the future of research and where we're headed, and there's so much hope there. And so I believe that, in my lifetime, hopefully, I'm going to look back and say, gosh, I remember when these kids were given this just incredibly toxic treatment to cure them, and they were going through just horrendous things like bone marrow transplants, on the road to a cure. And wasn't that just barbaric that we used to do that? And, now, we were able to just target the cancer cells, wipe them out, and the rest of the body stays strong and healthy.
That's so great to hear, because it will just continue, hopefully, to get better. For my listeners, if you haven't gone to the website, it's curechildhoodcancer.org. You have to go to the website and you have to see the pictures, and it's a beautiful site, and everything that they're doing and how you can also donate. It's just, I was so happy to see it, and you probably, if you saw my video, I pulled some pictures from your site to put on my video this week because they just really made me smile. So, again, it's curechildhoodcancer.org. We're going to break for commercial in just a few minutes. And when we come back, we'll continue to talk to Kristin Connor, the Executive Director of Cure Childhood Cancer. And if you have a question, 877-864-4869. It's an important show. They're all important shows. But, children get to us in our hearts, and we don't ever want to see them sick. But fortunately, we have these wonderful organizations that are working to find a cure and find ways to use the treatments that aren't so harsh on their little bodies. So stay with us. We will be back in just a few minutes, and we will continue to talk to Kristin.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
I am not the woman I used to be. I'm free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet. This is your chance, ladies, to hear stories of hope and healing from someone who's been there. Someone who has fought back from the horrors of incest. Minister Diane's innocence was stolen from her in the land of alcoholism and mental illness, which led to her being emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her parents. Yet in spite of this trauma, she has gone on to become a successful wife, mother, registered nurse, and minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm not the woman I used to be. I'm Free is a straight-up show to enlighten you and to lighten your load. Do not let the weight of this world or the things that have happened to you control your life. For more on the show and Diane and her book, The Story of Me, email her directly from her show page here on TogiNet. Then, join us for I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be. I'm Free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard.
There are many words to describe difficult people. In 1887, a grumbler might have been called Crusty Gripes. The Scottish call a noisy and obnoxious person a ramstampish, and a messy, sloppy person might be referred to as a slubberdy-gullion. What's a word for that foolish person who keeps pressing the elevator button thinking it will go into hurry-up mode? A goostrum noodle. What's a word for a stubborn person who insists on making an heir out of obstinance? A mumpsumpsus. Do you ever feel totally without energy? I usually feel that way about 4 o'clock every day. Here's a word that originated in 1893 for a person who is totally drained. A dartle-dum-doo. And we might just throw in de-pooperet, which means completely worn out.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and Words You Never Heard has been brought to you by the Bariatric Surgery Center of Dallas.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful guest, Kristin Connor, the Executive Director of Cure Childhood Cancer, and September is Cure Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So we have a caller. We have Andy on the line. So good morning, Andy. Thanks for calling.
Hi, I'm glad to be calling. I saw the promotion of your guest today, Blythe, and so I was very eager to call in. Hi, Kristin.
Hi.
I want you to know, and it probably won't surprise you, my husband and I are big fans of baseball Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. So we've been aware of your organization for quite a while, and we're very impressed with what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And I wanted to find out more about the Quiet Heroes Lunch.
Yes, wow. Well, I'm excited to know that you are familiar with Cure and the work that we're doing. And Tom Glavine and his wife, Chris Glavine, are very, very involved in our organization and just have a huge heart for children with cancer and seeing cures come about. So I'm a big fan, too, of both of theirs. So we do, as Blythe mentioned, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It's actually a national awareness month, and we do a luncheon every year. This year is our 11th year, where we honor mothers of children with cancer. And this luncheon came about because 11 years ago, there was a particular mom who lost her son on September 12th, and she had a blog. It was really the days before blogs were so popular, but it was like a blog where she would update people about what was going on with her son and her son's condition. And he really suffered, and he passed away shortly before his 8th birthday. And Chris Glavine, Tom's wife, read that blog and really just connected, with this mom and just had such great empathy for her, and came to me and said, I just can't imagine if this were me, and I want to do something for these moms. I just want to do something, give them a day away, and maybe we could just do maybe a little luncheon at a hotel or something, and just sort of pamper them and give them a special day. And so that idea of maybe inviting 30 moms to our little luncheon at a hotel has turned into a big luncheon of 600 people every year, where we honor about 250 moms at each luncheon. And these moms they come as our guests. They are free, and they come, and we have professional makeup artists who give them, touch-up, and we have chair massage therapists who come and donate their services, and we give them these just wonderful gift bags full of just they think it's Christmas when they get these, or they love the gifts, and they're all meaningful, inspiring, items, and then we have a wonderful silent auction that you can bid on online, and if you're not there, and a program with a speaker, and Chris Glavine is our hostess, and over the last 10 years, because this is the 11th, we've raised almost $4 million just with this luncheon alone, and we've honored well over 1,000 moms, and this is my heart is this luncheon. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite days of the year, and it's just all about these moms, and they connect with each other. It's created an environment of just tremendous sisterhood here in our community. We actually, I live in Atlanta, and that's where this takes place, but it's just an incredible sisterhood among these moms, and they reunite, every year. And then because we have about 350 other guests who buy tickets to come, these moms feel so loved and supported and cared about. It can be a very isolating experience when you have a sick child, not just cancer, but I think anything. And so they really do feel this just tremendous community of support around them. And I've heard lots of stories about how this luncheon really sustains them through such tough times. You know, we have moms who leave the hospital for the day to come. So it's really special.
So when is it?
It's September 19th, and if you go to quietheroes.org, you can learn more about the event, and we have a great raffle. You don't have to be there. You can support the event that way by buying raffle tickets, and you can sponsor a mom to come, or as I mentioned, we have an incredible silent auction that only Tom Glavine and his wife could put together. Lots of incredible stuff, and you can bid on that online as well without being present.
That's wonderful. I will also put that on my site. So, Andy, I'm so happy you called. Do you have any other questions for Kristin?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm so blown away by everything that you're doing at Cure, because it's all about the patients, the families, the research. And, you know, you're a charity that is worth giving to because you know where the dollars are going. And with stories, not stories, but with events like Quiet Heroes, it's just incredible.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate that. And I will say that I think one of the things that makes us, you know, unique as an organization is just that we are so mission driven. Everyone, you know, we have a small staff. We do a lot, I think, with a small staff, and everybody, you know, it's personal. Not everybody has had the personal experience that I've had, but it's a very personal mission for all of us, and I think that we are very strategic with what we do. We have limited resources, so we try to be very strategic in the research that we fund and the patient support that we provide. But we're always, I think, just so focused on the mission, and so I love that about Cure, just the authenticity of the effort.
Well, it's so great.
Well, I'm really glad to have called in today, Blythe. I'm glad I got through, and thanks a lot, Kristin. And I'm definitely going to go to the site and do what I can do virtually. So thanks again.
Great,
and,
thanks, Andy. You have a
good
nice
luck
day.
with the month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, you know, I love the name Quiet Heroes, and I will put that on my site, and I will put it on all my social media things. Anyway, what a nice caller. I love the positive.
That was so nice.
The positive is just so wonderful. You know, so many times people complain, but the positive is what matters. So in saying that, I had a question. Someone asked me, if you know a family with a child that has just been diagnosed or has cancer, how do you communicate with them? What does the family need? Because so many times people shy away because they're scared. They don't want to say the wrong thing, or you know, they don't make it worse.
Right. And I understand that. I really do understand that fear and that awkwardness, but I'll say two things. Well, I'll say several things. First of all, don't shy away. Don't, because it's a very isolating experience. You know, when you're on that side of it, you feel people pulling away from you, and what you just really need is to be loved and to know that there are people there who will just hold your hand, just listen to you, just say, I know it's really hard, and just be there. And that would be my just biggest, I guess, point of advice. We publish a printed newsletter 3 times a year, and in this we have one that's just hitting mailboxes right now, and it will be uploaded onto our website within the next week. And I would love to just encourage people to go and read this, because there was an article in this newsletter written by one of our dads, and it was he's just a great writer, and he wrote what to say when there's nothing to say, you know, and it's his advice as a dad who's not only been through a diagnosis and treatment, but also unfortunately this past spring lost his daughter. And I think when you read that, what you get, my biggest takeaway was, it's just all about loving that family and loving that person. And so maybe it's a hug, or it's just, again, it's not really about like the right thing to say as much as it is just being there and being willing to walk through the valley with that friend.
That's perfect advice. And, you know, it goes right along with your luncheon, because it's all about support. And when we feel alone, no matter what, whether you have, whether you're ill or even if you're just having a bad time in your life, the support means so much. And you're right, you don't have to, there's no rule book.
Right. And, I've said to people, I don't know what to say. Like, I know you are going through such a hard time right now, and I don't know what to say. I don't know how to make it better for you. I just want you to know that I care, and I am here to do anything, even if that's just sit here and be quiet. I just don't want you to be alone in this. And I think people just so appreciate that, and it's fine to say, I don't have the words. I don't know what to say. No,
that's perfect, too, because so many times when something happens to someone, people will say, call me if you need anything. Well, when you're in the middle of a crisis or whatever it is, you're not going to call somebody.
Right. And, I think, too, like saying, I'm here to help, let me know what I can do. Like, that puts the burden on that parent to say, oh, you know what, I really need someone to do my laundry. Like, I'm never going to say that, not even to my mother-in-law. I'm not going to say, will you please do my laundry? And so I have found that if you just don't put the burden on that person to express what they need, although, in very close friendships and situations like that, sometimes they will, but just if you see a need, just do it. Just do it. Just go mow the grass, leave a fresh plant by the door with a note, offer to, can I pick up your other kids? Can your other child come over and play? I mean, try to take that burden off of the parent to express what they need. They're not going to ask you to vacuum their house or change their sheets, and they really need someone to do that.
No, they do. You know what? Send a cleaning lady over. Anything. As long as you give them the support, because we support each other. We are going to break for another commercial in just a few seconds, and we are going to continue to talk to Kristin. But, we're here for you, too. I mean, it doesn't matter. I do my show every week because I help new parents and toddler parents, and that's how I give my support because I love it. So just be there. And there isn't the right thing to say. I love that you say, I don't know what to say. Perfect. So on that note, I do know what to say. We'll be right back after the commercial.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Do you ever wonder if you're the only woman who runs errands in her yoga pants so it will look like she went to the gym? Or how about the only mom who feeds her kids raw cookie dough? Or are you the only one who cooks her family cold cereal for dinner? Do you need more laughter and less loudness? More self-love and less self-loathing? More joy and less judgment? You're not alone. Come to the living room, a place where we get comfy, candid, and confident together. Come seeking sanctuary and leave feeling renewed. We're saving a seat for you. Give yourself some living room today.
Particular about your morning coffee? Well, you're not alone. Beethoven was quite a bean counter, as he always demanded exactly 60 coffee beans used in each cup. Guess he really didn't like slumgullion. That means weak coffee. Some people can't seem to get enough coffee. The French writer Voltaire purportedly drank 70 cups of coffee a day. That amount of caffeine would make anyone wadgety and brickety. Coffee beans actually aren't beans at all. They're fruit pits, which makes coffee the most consumed fruit in the United States. Ever heard of cowboy coffee? Apparently it was made by putting ground coffee into a clean sock, immersing it in cold water, and heating it over a campfire. Then they would drink it out of tin cups. So what's the word for a small tin cup? A pannikin.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and Words You Never Heard has been brought to you by the Bariatric Surgery Center of Dallas.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to the show. I am here with my wonderful guest, Kristin Connor. She is the Executive Director of Cure Childhood Cancer. And September is the National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so we are talking all about that and children. First, let me ask you, do you have a favorite parenting tip? This has nothing to do with childhood cancer, but you're a parent, and I always ask my guests about their favorite parenting tips.
Well, I think my tip would be more aimed at the moms as just a tip for moms as opposed to necessarily how to get your child to behave or anything like that. And that is just to let go of the guilt. I think as moms we can be relentless on ourselves and just brutal with our own sort of the pressure we put on ourselves and our own, expectations. And I grew up with a very wonderful hands-on mom. She was super mom, and she didn't work outside the home, and I do, and I always have, and I struggled when my kids were little with guilt about that. And I look back and think, wow, I wasted so much energy feeling guilty because I think, whether you do or don't, my kids are now 17 and almost 14, and they're very well adjusted, and I think there have been just so many great things that have come from them seeing me be a hard worker and yet very dedicated to them. And so I just think I wish I could go back and not spend so much time and energy making myself feel guilty all the time. And so maybe one of your, regardless of whether you work or don't work or any of that, I just would just encourage young moms to just try really hard to let go of that guilt. Your kids are going to be great.
That is such a great tip, and we're on the same page because so many times I've written a blog and I've said, let go of the G word. For some reason, I think we women are born with that G word in our head.
I agree.
And you're right. It goes so fast, and you turn around and you look back and say, you know what, I should have never worried about that and felt bad. Because they're fine. I love that advice. Thank you. Also, tell my listeners, why does everyone need to be involved? So many times people say, well, I don't have a child with cancer. Why should I be scared, or why should I do something? Why is it so important for all of us to be involved in this?
That's a great question, and I would say don't be scared. I don't want people to get involved because of fear, but I do think that it's an issue that deserves national attention, and I think so don't glaze over on me here. I'm going to throw out a few statistics, but cancer is the second leading cause of death in children behind accidents. It's the second leading cause of death, and unfortunately, the incidence, number of cases of childhood cancer have risen every year over the past 30, and are up 24% over the past 30 years. So it's happening more, and it still is a problem in terms of both mortality and then as earlier I talked about, even if we're curing them, we really are harming them with the current treatments. And so, because I feel like it's something that will affect and does affect every community. So hopefully none of your listeners will ever be in my shoes, but you might have a classmate of one of your kids, or someone on their Little League team, or in your church or synagogue or place of worship, or it just is likely to happen. And I think we need to be looking at our kids and think about what are the big problems that really affect them as a subset of our population. And cancer's right up there with one of the most serious problems. And so I think, one thing that I didn't realize, you hear all the time about the big war on cancer, and that war on cancer is really aimed at cancers which affect adults. And the cancers that kids get are very, very different than those that affect adults. And so we need to be supporting research for those cancers which affect kids. And right now, federal funding for cancer research, 96% of it goes to looking at adult cancers. Only 4% of that money goes to look at cancers which affect kids. And so it comes down to organizations like Cure and, those organizations that are specifically focused on childhood cancers to drive the research. that we need in order to have better treatments for our kids.
And 4% is so small.
Tiny.
I mean, it's tiny, and we do all need to be involved. And, so many times people will say, and I'm sure you probably heard this, well, I'm not wealthy or I don't have a job or something. And I am sure it doesn't matter if you give $1, if you give $5.
Yes, you're so right. And I would say, I mean, the good news and the bad news is that we don't have lots of, wealthy people that are funding this research and giving us the money to fund this research. It is everyday people like me and who are giving, what they can. And when you put all that together, it adds up and it allows us to do really big things. And so your $5 or $1 is very significant to us. And you can make a big difference with a little.
And people will say pick and choose because so many people call you all the time, every day. Do you want to give to this? Do you want to give to that? But, I think of childhood cancer in this way. This is our next generation. Yes. And if we can find a cure, this is the next generation that will go on and continue to make everybody healthier. So, a
lot of the discoveries that they make when researching childhood cancers do apply to in the adult cancer arena. So right. a lot of times it does translate over, and it doesn't necessarily translate over the other way. So when they make discoveries in the adult cancer arena, that doesn't always apply to kids. Right. So we've got to do better for the kids, and I certainly know people are have many causes and organizations to choose from, and I always encourage people just find what you're really passionate about and just do something. Do something for someone, I think that's why we're here. So
I think it is too. And you know what? You can go, there's so many things online. And again, people call you all the time. So, pick. This is not a telethon. However, this is a baby and toddler show. And I am also very passionate about keeping our children healthy.
Yes.
Especially in this world, so many things change all the time with foods and drugs and everything. And if we can just keep the cancer at bay or find a cure, it's so important. So really quickly, because the show's coming to an end, do you think parents should do their own research and be more aggressive or find that doctor that works?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say find your doctor. Find a good doctor who's treated, the kind of cancer your child has before and really knows what they're doing. But I'm a big one when it comes to, no advocate. You have to be your child's advocate. And so I would say don't just blindly follow. You need to be educated and aware and trust your doctor and all of that. But you really do need to be your child's advocate.
I'm so happy you said that because it's true. Not even just for a child. If you have an adult that's sick, it's nice to have an advocate because sometimes you don't hear everything, you don't understand it. And, the one thing that I'm big about, that if you have an illness or your child has an illness, ask questions. Yes, we talk about the internet. If you go to 10 sites, you get 10 answers, and then we're all confused. But you know what? Every child is unique, different as we all are, and maybe one treatment that somebody's suggesting you don't really understand or, you're scared of it. So right. Don't be afraid to ask those questions.
The doctor who diagnosed my son, I called him about a week later with a list of questions, and he said, but I already told you all this. Like, we went over all this. And I said, well, we're going to have to go over it again because
good
I heard
for you. I'm clapping.
You said, and I need to really understand this, so we're going to have the conversation again. You just you need to do that and be comfortable. It's your child. You're making big decisions for them.
And sometimes it's tough because the doctor is somebody that's great and has treated, whatever illness it is a million times, but their bedside manner is terrible. And you know what? I'm happy you said that because I believe in that too. I also say to somebody, you know what? I don't understand. You're going to have to tell me again. And, last chance, they usually get about 3 chances with me, and then I find somebody else because that's part of it too. That's the support when you can talk to your doctor. But in saying that, I have to say goodbye to you, but before I do, please tell my listeners what time the luncheon is and where it is, and tell them where they can find you. So important.
The the Quiet Heroes Luncheon is from 11 to 2. It's in Atlanta at the Intercontinental Hotel in Buckhead. You can go to quietheroes.org and find out all the information about place and time and how you get tickets and how you buy raffle tickets. And there are lots of ways. Again, raffle tickets are $20. What a great way to support the event and the moms just by buying a raffle ticket. You don't have to be there to win. You can bid on auction items without being there, and lots of ways to support these really special moms.
That's perfect. That's 4 cups of coffee at Starbucks. Okay, now where can my listeners find you?
Find Cure at curechildhoodcancer.org. Our information is there, and my email address is on there, and phone number, and I'm happy to. I talk to parents all the time, so if anybody needs me, please don't hesitate.
Oh, Kristin, thank you. You were a wonderful guest. Enjoy your luncheon. Have a wonderful holiday weekend, and I would love you to come back on the show again. Thanks so much. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, what a great show. One that gives us all so much hope. And with Connie, go to peanutbutterandwine.com and check out her site. Next week, my guest will be Richard Rende, the author of Raising Can-Do Kids. And boy, we can do that, can't we? Also, I will have everybody's information on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. Go to radio, go to podcast 2015, and you can get Kristin and Connie's information as well as all my shows from the last 5 years. You can download them 24/7. And also, don't forget to like my pages on Facebook, Baby Instructions and My Best Parenting Advice. I'm also on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google, Twitter. I say this all the time. And also, I started making little videos from Periscope that I share twice a week. It's so much fun. So I'd like to leave you today with these wonderful gems. Don't educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy so they know the value of things, not the price. And the most precious jewels you'll ever have around your neck are the arms of your child. Isn't that so true? So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have some great plans with your friends and family this weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. Please be safe on the roads. But when you're together, remember, time passes quickly. Create some wonderful memories. Take lots of pictures. Post them all over. And again, if you can give to the Cure Childhood Cancer, please do that as well. And I am so excited that you could tune in today. So hopefully you can tune in again next week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.